Welcome to 49ers Coast to Coast. We're back. Jason Aponte in Vegas. You can't see it, but he's got like, what is it, like the Caesar's Palace behind you, the Venetian. It looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's right behind me. That's not
Yeah,
like I'm
right.
staying there. So, like, it's cool it's here, but, like, I can't stay there.
Just imagine that it's right, because it is right there. It's just, if it was nighttime, you could see it. It's just it's just a lighting issue. I'm Grant Cohn. I'm in my bedroom as normal. I was going to go down to Vegas, and then I chickened out at the very end because I'm shopping for houses, and now I feel poor. Funny how that process makes you feel really worthless. These older people looking at you like,
no,
not going to happen. Not going to happen, bud.
I wouldn't say worthless, Grant. I would put it as growth. And not growth, not growth, growf. That's growth. That's growth. That's growth.
It's a process. Mm-hmm. All right. So last night I went on with Jesse Naylor, and I said with confidence that the Niners aren't going to trade Deebo Samuel. I don't know. I don't have any sources inside the Niners organization. I think we've heard from a lot of people that people outside the organization don't expect the Niners to trade him. That, certain teams don't expect the Niners to trade. No one knows what the Niners are going to do. And I think anyone that thinks the Niners are going to keep Deebo is assuming that somehow Kyle can fix this. Kyle's cool with Deebo. The deadline is in a couple of months. Kyle can come through and he can talk to Denise or do something. Do you buy that theory that Kyle can somehow fix this?
Kyle believes he can fix it. I believe in his.
I believe that Kyle believes it. Yes.
Kyle believes that he can fix it, but I feel like if he could have fixed it, he would have. And now Deebo wouldn't have been lashing out in social media, anything like that. Like if Kyle could have fixed this, he would have. He would have sent a message to Deebo, or the meeting in Miami. I feel
that's like what I'm saying. Wasn't that his first attempt?
Right. The meeting in Miami went very poorly, and then all of a sudden Deebo ends up with Mike McDaniel at lunch. So if Kyle could have fixed it, he would have fixed it at this point. But I do believe that Kyle believes that he can fix it. Whether he can or not, I don't know about that, but he believes that for sure.
So like let's define what fixing it would be. Fixing it isn't going over to Deebo and convincing Deebo to be a team player and take less money, right? Fixing it is going to Denise and John and saying, this guy's really important. Like what he did with Trent Williams last year, right? You got to pay him. That's fixing it.
What I mean by fixing it, I think what I mean by fixing it is, for me, is about scaling back the running back touches, understanding that Deebo wants to be like a wide receiver, more and more targets and things. So fixing it is more about fixing it and with money, right? Because the money should have fixed everything. Money, talks, but it's more about the way he's used. And Kyle should be able to fix that in that way. Any sort of thing that he has, any sort of issue he has with being utilized, it should be fixable. If you're Kyle Shanahan, all you have to do is not run the ball with him that much out of the backfield and find someone who's as explosive to do that.
Right. So what Kyle can say is he could just do nothing, not trade Deebo. And then in round 2, round 3, round 4, draft a running back and go to Deebo and say, look, that's the new Raheem Mostert. You don't have to do it anymore. We so thank you for filling in for Raheem Mostert after he got hurt. We needed you to do that, but you won't be required to do that anymore. We've replaced that job in the offense, and now you can be a wide receiver. And we're going to pay you, because the Niners have already said on record, we want to pay him. We want to pay him what wide receivers are worth. We'll pay you. We'll give you your conditions. We have another running back. Please stay with us. I mean, could that work? Why would that not work? Is it too late?
No, and that's the thing. Again, you saying it's too late is what we're talking about in this entire, can Kyle fix it? If Kyle could have fixed it, he would have fixed it, in my opinion. Yeah. But I truly believe, because Kyle is so, I'm the man, you're not, Kyle thinks he can fix it. But if you could have fixed it, I think you would have. And Deebo wouldn't have been doing any of these other things one way or another.
Allow me to retort. It's possible that the opening conversation didn't go so well, went really bad, and Deebo got really mad. From Kyle's perspective, okay, fine, Deebo's mad. The deadline still is training camp. Yeah. So you can't be mad forever. Let's cool down. Let's not trade you, and let's talk again closer to the deadline, and I'll come correct with a better offer, and you won't be so angry, and we'll actually negotiate, because I value you the way you want to be valued. I think Maybe Kyle thinks he can do that.
Right. And the other thing is, too, is like you're talking about open negotiations, right? And things that kind of start. But here's what I'll drop off real quick. Deebo had a number in his mind that he believed that he was worth. And good old Trent Baalke finds a way to screw the 49ers again by signing mid Christian Kirk to this wild deal that Deebo Samuel looks at like, I've done more in half a season than this man has done his entire career. And look what he just got. So a lot of this has to do with the wide receiver market. Everybody wants to point to Tyreek and Devontae and all of these guys that have been getting their money. Christian Kirk is the real problem here at this point. And Trent Baalke is the real problem at this point. So 49er fans, you can get mad at Deebo all you want, but I would be more upset with the guy who has reset the wide receiver market for a mid-ass receiver. Sorry, I'm trying to not curse or anything like that on your stream. A mid-ass wide receiver like Christian Kirk, who gets this amount of money, and Deebo Samuel has done more in 6 games as a 49er than this man has done his entire career as a wide receiver. And this is the bag he's getting. Forget Tyreek Hill and forget Devontae Adams. That Christian Kirk deal is the problem, the biggest problem.
Okay, final aspect of this discussion is Kyle has a good relationship with Deebo, fine. Kyle has to go back to the Yorks and make a case for them paying for Deebo. And again, it's been reported that they're willing to do it. Okay, I don't know. Kyle has to go and be like, look, not only is this my best player, but he's marketable. You can profit off of Deebo. Like with Buckner wasn't really someone they were marketing, and he wasn't really a star. Deebo's a star.
It's a locker room guy.
I mean, Deebo's a star. You could really argue that they're not marketing him enough. His name is Deebo.
Right.
He's a star. He should be the face of the franchise. It's Kittle, it's Bosa, it's Jimmy. They could definitely profit from keeping Deebo. It's an investment. So I think they could sell it to the Yorks that way.
That's the little sliver of hope that I have that this winds up with Deebo staying here is that's a Kyle guy. Deebo's a Kyle guy. Like if Deebo was at the Senior Bowl, he fell in love with Deebo there.
Yes.
That's the thing that kind of has me like this much like, okay, they can fix this because Trent Williams, the same thing, right? Kyle made an executive decision and said, no, whatever it is that he wants, make that happen. Why aren't you doing this right now at this point? But I will throw this one last thing out, and I don't want to get anybody upset. Obviously, what's going on with Deebo Samuel has nothing to do with this year's cap hit, right? Because any extension would have to happen, and cap hit would be after. But there's one guy that's on this roster still that the 49ers still can't really make any moves in terms of those things, and he's still here for whatever reason. He who shall not be named.
Yes.
He who is the handsome elephant in the room.
Yes.
And I think that John Lynch came to them and said, hey, here's the number. He didn't like that. And also, here's the number, but we got to wait to clear this situation with he who will not be named first before we can make something happen, which lines up with the whole training camp thing because you hope that they have that resolved later on.
Hey, maybe the Niners trade Jimmy Garoppolo for a draft pick, which they spend on a running back who takes Deebo Samuel's role in the running game tonight. And they would go back to Deebo and like, all right, man, what do you want to talk now? You good? Yeah. Can we talk?
And are you? There was a report that came out today from Jeff Howe. I think he was tweeting out about how, yes, the Texans love Davis Mills, but after the draft, they'll be in on a Jimmy Garoppolo or Baker Mayfield. Now, if you're talking about those two, I lean Jimmy Garoppolo because of the person that's there in Houston, Nick Caserio, and the ties from New England, right? Nick Caserio helped draft Jimmy Garoppolo. You think that he wouldn't want to bring him there? Now, Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Texans doesn't make them a playoff team. To Caserio. Yeah, over Davis Mills.
Why would you put Davis Mills on the bench after starting him for a year? I don't get it. Okay, maybe
bad teams continue to be bad, Grant. Okay. That's it. Okay. You got to bank on franchises. Look, the Houston Texans aren't the model of a franchise, moving in the right direction. They literally have lame duck after lame duck coach, one after the other, like poor Lovie Smith, who is in a spot right now where he's in a lame duck spot where they're holding the job for Josh McCown, who was a quarterback and literally has never played and never been a coach. Like,
if they can prove that they're doing that, that's against the law. So I hope that they get outed because, the thing about Lovie Smith, he's a good coach. Mm-hmm. He's a black coach, obviously, but he's one of these black coaches who brings in other black position coaches. Like he's good for football. I hope he gets him. I hope he gets to stay there, man.
I feel terrible for Lovie Smith, but don't discount the Houston Texans signing back-to-back black coaches to get around a narrative. Get around the narrative a little bit. And
so depressing.
Right. And you know what? And people in the comments are going to be
like,
I
know coaches on that staff in Houston, man. That sucks.
And I know people are going to say, oh, you're race baiting. I'm not race baiting. I'm telling you that they are trying to expunge some sort of narrative around them that they are not.
What is so special about Josh McCown?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I really don't know. But they've tried. Look, they signed. I forget the man's name. Cullen, I believe, was their coach last year. And for everything that happened with the Texans, he did an amazing job getting that team to play as well as they did, especially with a rookie quarterback. But apparently, they let Josh McCown go coach high school football so he could learn time management before he comes back. And then Lovie Smith is the sign. While Josh McCown is also trying to still learn, they all feel like placeholder after placeholder while still being able to get around this little narrative around the Houston Texans. Remember, their owner, insane asylum. What is it? Inmates running the asylum.
Yeah.
It's just it's all bad in Houston, and franchises continue to be bad, and that's Houston.
Okay, enough of that dumpster fire. Let's come back. This is an hour ago. Tony Jefferson, who was on the 49ers, tweeted, I just saw, he thinks Deebo Samuel will be a Jet by tonight. Man, everyone's got a prediction. I don't know if anyone has actual information, but does this sway you in any way?
No, and I mean, it doesn't sway me because I have no idea what's going on. So I have no opinion one way or the other.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and make a prediction. But someone that I spoke to yesterday who has coached in this league, somebody that I'm actually very cool with, and I didn't realize all those things until we actually spoke, said that the 49ers are going to be waiting for teams to be on the clock. And what happens when you're on the clock? You kind of make a decision that you're a little bit hasty on. Think about your fantasy football draft, right? You're on the clock for 2 minutes. You're looking in between two players, and eventually you're going to make a decision, but you have to make a decision in those 2 minutes. So the 49ers are going to look at teams that are on the clock and start saying, hey, get your guy. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like press them, and then see if somebody does something stupid. Doesn't mean that the 49ers are looking to move from Deebo, but it looks like they're trying to cash in on teams, I guess, impatience with the clock. And
the one thing that makes that complicated is that you have to have some serious guts to trade for Deebo Samuel without having negotiated a contract extension yet. Hey, the Niners can't do, but we can. Now, if you're a team in a tax-free state, maybe you just feel really confident.
Yeah.
So, hey, you know what? He'll want to. If you're the Cowboys, be like, he's gonna want to play here. No problem. Let's trade for him right now.
The other thing is do the 49ers like somebody at that spot? So let's say the 49ers covet 2 and 3 guys. Let's say whatever, the Jets are up at 10, and one of their guys is there, right there, that they covet. And I don't know who that is. Is that an edge rusher? Is that a wide receiver that slipped? Is that, Thibodeau is sliding now because of bad interviews. That's what they're saying, right? Like George Pickens is going to slide out of the first round. Bad interviews. There's so much going on right now in terms of stock and who the 49ers actually like. So let's say there's 2-3 guys that are there, right there in that spot that they like. That's when they maybe say, hey, listen, let's cut the cord. We like this guy. Let's move on in this way. But also, I would ask you this, Grant, and I would ask everybody that's watching. Do the 49ers set up a similar situation where they replace a wide receiver with the wide receiver a la Buckner and Kinlaw, right? Instead of going best player available, you're going to draft for need. So again, who do they covet? And I think that's what has a lot to do with the on the clock stuff that I've been hearing around here.
Eduardo says, hey, Jason, how you doing? Deebo bugging hard.
Hey, Ed, I'm chilling, man. Vegas is a vibe. And yeah, man, I don't know, man. Deebo is just doing things that I feel like we're going to see more and more of.
I agree.
From people in
the NBA all the time. Why? Mm-hmm. Because the players make a lot of money, guaranteed contracts. And
the NBA is player driven. Again, nobody watches the NFL for your front offices, for your general manager, for your coach. You watch it for the players. Clearly,
yeah,
right?
But like the players who aren't stars, like if you make $30 million a year, all of a sudden you have leverage. Like what Ben Simmons did. Ben Simmons isn't a star, but Ben Simmons got himself, out of Philly, and now he's not exactly playing for Brooklyn, but I'm just saying, like,
Well,
football players are going to do stuff like that, like what Kyrie Irving does. Anyway, King Alex says, what? Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think you're kind of seeing like a changing of the guard with players like taking more and more of responsibility. Like again, in the NBA, the same thing kind of happened. James Harden says, I want to get the hell out of here. He'll walk up to a press conference and say, I want to leave. I'm out. That's it. And I think that's kind of where you're going right now.
Absolutely. Why? Because cap's going up, spending's going up, guaranteed money's going up, leverage is going up.
And CBA also favors younger players instead of the vets. And that's the thing. These veterans, these guys who have been in this league are fighting for everything now because of the CBA that they negotiated. Basically, the owner said, hey, you guys can smoke weed, but you can't hold out none of this other stuff. And that's what they gave away.
Pretty much. King Alex says, do you think John hates you more than Kyle now?
You?
Maybe
after that press conference, I would say, yeah, probably.
He had a look on his face like he wasn't happy. What was I supposed to do? James says the Niners pick 61 is Grant Cohn. I hope not. I haven't lifted. Right. I didn't lift yesterday, so I don't think I'm ready.
It's all right, man. You'll be all right. I mean, it's all muscle memory.
Will the 49ers pick tonight? Best guess.
Just a guess. No.
I feel the same way. No. I don't think they will. Now I'm working tonight as if they will. I'll be watching my television, ready to write an article, but I don't think they're going to pick tonight.
Yeah, and I'm going to be streaming from the media room, and like, who knows? Maybe the more and more that I hear, maybe that'll change my mind. But as of right now, no. And again, this Godfather deal offer that you can't refuse, where is it? Who has it? Right. So I'll ask you this: there's 3 spots because the Jets aren't going to trade 4 for Deebo. 10 Jets, 13 Houston, 14 Baltimore Ravens. I think after 14. If this thing doesn't get done by 14,
15.
No.
Okay. Why?
14. I just don't. Again, players. There's so many people right now that are trying to get out of the top 10 for some reason. Like there's this narrative around this draft about it's not top heavy. There's no everybody's trying to get out of the top 10. Like the Panthers want to trade down. Everybody's trying to trade down. And for me, who's going to be there? And are they going to be the players that the 49ers actually covet? So I feel like the Ravens are like the last portion of that, the 14th pick, right? Like right there. If the 49ers get 15 from the Eagles, they're absolutely 100% trading back. 100%. They're going to let somebody else move up. So I'm going to say no. But again, that's subject to change only because I know nothing. And I'm just going off of what's going on in the buzz around here.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to trade me. I don't think they're going to have a pick tonight that would require trading Deebo. And I just don't. I mean, they could love Jameson Williams. It's possible. Some people do, but like it. Hello. It just seems like if you want Jameson, you're replacing Deebo with someone who has a torn ACL. That's rich. I don't know. Can you really do that? That's just risky. And why is my thing so awful? Hello.
Look. So here's the thing: is I've got Jameson number 2 in this draft class out of wide receivers. And that's only because of the ACL injury. I would have had him number 1 clear. I got Garrett Wilson number 1.
Right. Okay.
But the negatives around Jameson Williams, it's so weird to me when people say, well, he's got the ACL injury. You can't. It's 2022. He's a 21, 22-year-old guy. He'll be fine. Relax. Like, don't tell me that Jameson Williams isn't going to ball because he had an ACL injury. The advances in modern science and the way guys bounce back, stop it. We're going to wind up looking back on this draft if Jameson Williams falls, right? Like, let's say like everybody's afraid of the ACL. We're going to look back and say, how on earth did you let him fall? And how many teams are going to look at who they picked instead of Jameson Williams? I think he's that good. That's how I feel right now.
I feel you. It's just that for whatever reason, the Niners have tried this so many times the last 10 years, drafting, college players coming off torn ACL. I think they're over. They're over. I'm pretty sure.
In this regime, or are we talking about Balky?
Just forever. Every time they've ever drafted a player coming off a torn ACL, it hasn't worked out. Now, it's worked out with vets, but that's different. Those are proven pros. You really don't know how these college guys are going to rehab and stuff, and especially a guy who hasn't done it before. Bosa is the difference. Bosa, but he is like extremely experienced at rehabbing. Anyway, we both think the Niners not picking tonight. Brian Edwards says DJ read Twitter. What about it? I just checked it out.
Is he dumping on Leo again? Oh,
Jay says, Grant, did you see Larry's tweet on the trade proposal? Looks like he did not take his morning shower. Please go get your man. Whoa, what'd he do?
No, I don't see it. Yo, the chat's out of pocket.
What'd he do? Hold on. I'm not saying that this is the trade, but despite my love for the Niners, Deebo, I take Mekhi Becton, Jermaine Johnson, pick 10, Ty Linderbaum, 35, and Christian Watson, 38, and feel great about my future. That's a period of hoping everything works itself out this summer with Deebo. I mean, that's a defensible position. You're getting a former top 10 pick, a current top 10 pick, 2 second-round picks. I mean, I don't even think they're going to get that much, but that's a fair position. I don't know. What do you think?
49er fans, you're going to come for me. And I promise you, this is just a place of straight evaluation. I am not as high on Christian Watson as many of you are. I really am not.
Neither am I.
That scares the living hell out of me. And a lot of what people are saying about Christian Watson, they're trying to correlate to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And I implore all of you to please stop thinking that way. It is nowhere near the same thing. I think that he has a chance to be a very good wide receiver in this league, but where he is being hyped at this moment, where he is going in many drafts, and if you believe at 38, he's the move, absolutely not. I don't want any parts at this point. I really don't. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay, I got an uncomfortable question for 49er fans and specifically for you. Could the 49ers' upcoming extension negotiation with Nick Bosa get tricky, sort of like how it's getting tricky here? Now, the context is the Niners are trying to make it seem like Deebo's being emotional. He's being immature. I don't see it that way. I see this as business. Deebo understands that a lot of money is at stake. And part of it is in California, they take your money. The taxes are really, it's like 13 or 14%. Plus the rent and the real estate, and you just make more money elsewhere. And you're talking 15%. That's a big difference between what he could make on the Niners and what he could make on, say, the Dolphins or the Cowboys. And he knows that. And the Niners are in a tough position because how do you make up that difference when you're talking $30 million a year? How do you make up that difference? And Bosa's going to be even more expensive. Bosa isn't talking. He's not taking pictures down. He's not emotional, but he's a businessman too. What do you think? Is this going to get tricky? Could it get tricky?
Yes. And taxes have a lot to do with it. And the way that you would be able to sell this to Nick Bosa is if you have a deep playoff run this year with Trey Lance and do you want to be here? But the taxes have way more to do with this than people want to believe. And also,
it's not just taxes too. It's like you can't live out here. You don't want to live out here if you're not from here. The house is expensive. Yeah.
Also, Richard Sherman on his podcast, I feel like if anyone hasn't heard it, I feel like laid it out. For as many people that give Grant and I shit, about this whole Parag thing, and we're talking about Parag penny pinching, listen to Richard Sherman talk.
Yes.
And he said, I know about Parag. I know about this is the word, this is direct quote, haggling.
Yep. His tactics.
And he's right. And he said he felt Deebo's taking it a bit more personally. But you got a precedent. George Kittle, DeForest Buckner, Fred Warner, not Deebo Samuel. Richard Sherman negotiated his contract by himself. Now what's going to happen with Nick Bosa? You got to play on your fifth. You're going to play on your fifth. But Parag is going to start the conversation. Right. Start the conversation way too low. And at what point? You
can't do that to the Bosas.
Right. And at what point do many people in this organization that are players look at this and know what's coming? And then when you do it to them, they don't want to talk anymore. Right. I'm starting to put you in Deebo's mind frame right now.
That's right. At this point. And again, this whole Parag thing was a necessary evil that players put up with because they didn't have leverage. I'm not in a position to get a guaranteed contract. I'm not going to get that much money. I have to sign a team-friendly deal. Fine, I'll talk to Parag. That's becoming less of a reality. Cap's going up. There's teams like the Rams that'll pay their stars. There's all kind of teams that'll pay their stars. And the teams that get in squabbles with their stars are the teams like Jacksonville. Oh, freaking Jalen Ramsey's the problem. He's not a leader. He's a diva, yada, yada. Rams are like, no, you're a trash franchise. You don't know what to do with good players. We'll take them off your hands. And the Rams aren't in a position to do that with Deebo right now, but they would love to if they could. They're not looking at Deebo being like, oh, this guy's a problem. You're like, it'd be perfect in our locker room.
And if that was in a different division, then for sure that would be something that would happen. But it's just it goes back to the way that this organization starts.
Where'd you go? Did we lose Jason? Did you lose me? Look at Jason. He's just frozen. Can you guys see Jason? Is it me or is it Jason? Someone clap twice if you can see Jason.
My bad.
Yo, he's back. All right. You're good.
Right.
You're good.
No, that was me. All right. No. So I think it goes back to the way that people look at how this is going, right? And this isn't my opinion. Let's look at the facts. George Kittle's agent considered the first offer from the 49ers, and he used these words. I'm not speculating here. George Kittle's agent said, St. Valentine's Day massacre. That's how bad the first offer was. So for everybody that's like, oh, you're blaming people that you don't know, it's there for you. Richard Sherman just confirmed it on his podcast, and George Kittle and his agent have. Just because Fred Warner didn't say anything about it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And just because Deebo's saying it now doesn't make him a diva. It's shining a light on the stuff that's already been happening for years with these players. So again, does it get tricky with Nick Bosa? For sure. But when they pull up and they want to give him less money than his brother or TJ Watt, he's going to be upset, and he has every right to be upset.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's going to express his emotions in any way on social media, but it doesn't mean that the Niners won't be in the same exact situation. So this is something to monitor. Remember, Bosa not at the 49ers offseason training program. Everyone's like, oh, that's cool. It means nothing. All right, but anytime Deebo does anything, people flip out. But when Bosa does something, it's, oh, whatever. Bosa's a team. He's this or that. We have no idea where Bosa's coming from. It seems like if he's a businessman, him and Deebo have a lot in common.
That's what I'm saying is because Deebo's doing this publicly, you are starting to believe that none of these other guys have been as upset as Deebo. And that's not true at all. That is not true at all.
Right.
What's going on is just happening publicly. And you, if you're feeling disrespected as a fan or whatever, that doesn't make any sense because Deebo Samuel's not disrespecting you. And trust me, man, he should take care of himself. I'm sorry, 49er fans. He should not care about what you think at all in any way. But just because he's saying it publicly doesn't mean that any of these guys haven't felt it the same exact way. And just because Fred is doing the right thing and he goes to, off-season workouts, all that stuff, that doesn't mean that everybody has to move like Fred. Maybe you should give Fred more credit for being above it and believing in the process and stuff. But for you to be outing Deebo Samuel and talking crazy about him for the same things that these people have gone through is wild to me. That's wild.
Hold on, before we move on, I just want to look at something real quick. Fred Warner got $27.5 million guaranteed at signing. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not that much. This is a whole different thing. Nick Bosa, Deebo Samuel, like, good for Fred for being a team player, but he wasn't negotiating like these guys. He's not making NBA money, all right? No offense to Fred. Deebo's going to be making NBA money. Bosa's going to be making NBA money, and this is going to have to be NBA negotiations, and that means that Parag's going to get in the way. That's all I'm saying.
And that's why when you guys see numbers and you guys say, oh, a 5 at whatever number, like, oh, why wouldn't he take that? It's because it's a 1 or 2 year deal. Yes. Everywhere, though. It's not just here. Everything's a 1 or 2 year deal. Get your money up front, and then everything is year to year. And I'll tell you this. This is a good thing for teams and players, these 1 or 2 year deals. I'll tell you why. If after 2 years, let's just say, God forbid, Deebo Samuel's injured and he's just not producing in the way that we thought. Okay, cool. The team has an out. But if Deebo Samuel's balling out of control and doing exactly what he's been doing after 2 years, he can come back and ask for a raise.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that everybody's structuring contracts in this fashion. So I don't get wrapped up in 5 years, 120. It's a 2 year deal. His guaranteed money's up front. And then after that, they're going to come back to the table, especially with the salary cap rising.
Jay says, no, Grant. I'm saying no way we get that much for Deebo. A former top 5 pick and first and 2 second rounders for a wide receiver, absolutely not. So what he's saying is that Larry is saying there's no way they're not. Yeah, I would actually tend to be on your side, Jay. I don't think the Jets would offer all that much, although I don't know. I mean, the Jets might really, really want Deebo Samuel. Who knows? What do you think? I don't know.
I mean, again, think about
you hold on to all those picks and you get fired in a year, then you just hoarded picks for the next team.
That's what I'm saying. And then think about the franchise, right? How they move. And no disrespect to Joe Douglas, right? Like maybe Woody Johnson is in there, like, yeah, you guys got to do this, things and that. And I don't know how that hierarchy is, but then when you think about the Jets, Saleh, LaFleur, all that stuff fits in terms of everything. Corey Davis isn't going to be there next year. He would naturally fit right there in that way. So, and then when you think about the ineptitude of the franchise, I realize that Joe Douglas hasn't been there for all of those things, but Joe Douglas also, I'm glad you brought up the point about being fired. That's why when you're like, why aren't guys sticking with guys? Because if they don't win games this year, who cares about the development of that player later on when you're fired? That's why, like, I don't understand, like, when people are like, what are they doing? That coach needs to win games. The general manager needs to win games. Like, if you don't win games, it's a result-driven business. Who cares about warming up the seat for the next guy? So, yeah, the Jets are in there.
Lil Stewie says, happy draft day. Matthew Sanders says, even an upset Bosa, I don't see acting as vocal and visual as Deebo. Dangerous because if he gets paid, there'll be accusations of the big R word. Yeah, but what we're saying is he doesn't have to be vocal and visual to have the same problem with the 49ers. That's something you got to remember. He doesn't have to make a thing about it on social media.
Right, and that's the thing is Kittle didn't do any of that, but he was upset. Who knows what happened with Fred? You know, just because guys don't publicly tell you these things doesn't mean that they're not upset. And trust me, as tight as you believe this 49ers team is, 49er fan that's watching, they are, and they all talk. They all talk all the time about what's going on. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to say that.
Lil Stewie wants to know where the Jimmy supporters are. They're waiting for their moment, but now is not their moment. Sean says, I support the players getting paid, but I see no problem with the negotiation tactics Parag uses. It's what he's supposed to do. I don't want the NFL to turn to the NBA. It's not good for the league. Well, that's their problem. It's not about what the league wants. It's going to happen. Once the cap goes up, players get more money, guaranteed money goes up, their power increases, and now you got the NBA. I'm so sorry. If you didn't want it, it's inevitable. My thing with Parag is that he's old. He's an NFL guy. He's not an NBA type of guy.
Sean, I appreciate the sentiment, but here's the thing: is for everybody who lauds Parag for all his wizardry and all that, 31 other teams have a Parag.
Yep.
So there's
not that special anymore.
There's nothing that he's doing that's special. I would point you to the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
Here's why I'm going to do that. Deshaun Watson got a guaranteed contract. That's really going to ruin things going forward, pretty much, especially for quarterbacks. Nobody likes that in the front office.
Right.
But his first year is $1 million guaranteed. Myles Garrett signed his deal, massive deal. His first year, $2 million. They have ways of doing things. Everyone is doing this in some way. Every single team has a Parag, and that is just a guy who understands numbers and understands how to structure contracts. There is nothing that Parag Murad is doing right now that is special in terms of contract negotiations in any way of getting money. So for everybody who like posts the Parag like money, dude, there's 31 other Parags. They're all the 49ers tried to be out in front with all this, right? Because Parag was one of the first guys, and he's a Jed York guy, and everything. League is called up. Every single person has one of them. At what point do your negotiation tactics send a bad message to everyone else that is going to be up for money eventually? What is Brandon Ayuk thinking about what's going on right now and when he's going to be up for money? And that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. It's not about the negotiation tactic because everybody has a Parag, but it's a bad precedent to send to everybody. Just because one guy puts up with it doesn't mean the other guy should. And that's the problem.
Jerry Binkley, thank you. Philip Wilson, Lynch, and Kyle can't retain their Pro Bowl wide receiver with their rookie quarterback starting his first full season. I don't know, guys. It's not looking good. They haven't traded him yet. Wait. Trade Sermon. P. Diddy, Papa Diddy Puff says trade Sermon instead of wasting the man's career.
Trade what? A bag of chips?
Instead of wasting the man's career.
A bag of chips. What do you get? What do you get for Trey Sermon right now?
Hold on. Who would write this? Who would take 2 minutes and $2 out of their day to say trade? This got to be Trey Sermon. Trey, what's up?
Hey Trey, is that your burner? Like, hey man,
is that your burner, Trey? You got this. Got to be Trey Sermon, Trey's brother, Trey's mom, Trey's. There's no way there's some person in the world being like, "What about Trey Sermon?" That's not related to Trey Sermon. This is great.
Trey Sermon needs to save his career this year with however he plays because there is nobody trading for that man. I
Hanging by a thread. Justin says nothing about this offseason leads to believe the Niners will move to the first round or pay Deebo. No identity as a team. What happened? Jed happened. Jed has no leadership, and so you got John Lynch and his agenda, Kyle Shanahan and his agenda, Parag and his agenda, and it's like
It's a power struggle within the organization. Who has the power?
Yes, and it shifts daily. Little or Stewie says, why do Jimmy fans defend him and Deebo fans just get heated because he's trying to get a deal that's worth his talent? Jimmy isn't worth what the Niners think he is. Deebo is the next quarterback for the Niners. LOL.
I mean, that's the thing, guys, is I just feel like a lot of 49er fans are taking this personally, and, he's disrespecting his fan base. He's disrespected the team. Dude, I know you're 49ers fans, and that's great. And we love you because that's the reason that we're able to content create. Trust me, man. Stop worrying about that. And if I was Deebo Samuel, I would not worry about a fan's feelings if I'm doing what's best for me and my family. And you can call him a diva, do whatever you want. I wouldn't care. You know what he's going to get? One way or another, paid. That's all that matters.
Nazir Green says trade Deebo for Brian Burns and picks with or without Jimmy. Whew. I don't want to trade Deebo for a defensive end. They have defensive line. I know Brian Burns is great, but dude, it's hard to find. They got Bosa. Well, for now.
Well, here's the thing. And Brian Burns is on his 5th. So you're trading Brian Burns. You're trading for Brian Burns, and you got to pay him. And he's gonna want top premium edge rusher money, but you also got to pay. You got to pay your other guy.
Hey, at a certain point, the NFL is going to have to stop giving these tax-free states this advantage. I mean, it's a big deal, and as the money gets bigger, 15% is going to be more and more millions. The Niners are essentially going to have to, make up that 15% gap, like overpay by 15. They're not that kind of team. Crazy. I don't know. The NFL's going to have to change it.
Unless you're Malcolm Smith or Jerick McKinnon or Quan Alexander, like they're not going to overpay.
Like, do you think the Raiders, all the moves the Raiders made this offseason, could they have made those if they were in Oakland? No.
A lot of things kind of change things though. Like Devontae Adams wanted to be out of there. He wanted to play with Derek Carr, like all those things. But yeah, the money helps. The money helps.
The money helps. It's a big difference. All right. So we agree the Niners probably aren't picking tonight. Their first pick should be 61. It's looking like Alex Mack is going to retire. The Niners could slide Daniel Brunskill over there, but really, Kyle seems to have a preference for like really talented centers, guys who were first or second round picks. Alex Mack, first round pick. Weston Richburg, second round pick. The Niners have a second round pick. They need a starting center. Do you think they will spend this pick on a center?
I don't think so, because I think that the ace in the hole, that little thing that they have that's kind of sitting in the background that nobody's really talking about is JC Tretter. And you can get a guard who plays center, things like that later on, while JC Tretter comes right in immediately and is able to play. It's clear that the 49ers want a veteran center in the beginning before they trust anybody else. I implore you to look at how this offense looked in 2019 after Weston Richburg left. And no disrespect to who's the center that played? Oh my God, I can't even remember his name right now at this point. God, who took over for Weston Richburg after he went down? It wasn't
Ben Garland.
Ben Garland. No disrespect to Ben Garland. I think he played fine. But it's clear that's why they went after Alex Mack in 2020 to make sure that they showed up. So I don't know if they do a center in round 2. I think that they'll probably employ a little bit of best player available, even though that's not their thing. But I do think that in the back of their mind, Alex Mack has told them already that he's retired, a la Joe Staley. And they have maybe a backup plan where they can go to JC Tretter and start him this year while drafting somebody who could be ready the year after. And I don't think that they want to roll Daniel Brunskill out there, because now who plays right guard?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I don't think they want Daniel Brunskill to move positions. I think they're going to draft a center in round 2, which sucks because they should have signed a center. You never want to put yourself in a position where you have to take something, but if they have to have a starting center, that's ambitious to wait till 93. I just think it is. So I think with the Niners, I think their plan is to take Cole Strange or Cam Jurgens or Dylan Parham, one of those 3 guys. And I think it's too bad because there'll probably be an edge rusher or a wide receiver or a running back or a safety who's better. But I think that's their plan. I think they're going to try. And Tretter would be great too, right? Tretter's 31 years old. And it seems like the Niners, for whatever reason, are trying to be as young as possible. And I just don't see him signing a 31-year-old starter, although they could definitely benefit from one. So I'm always taking the cynical position, but I'm being real cynical here. They're going to go straight up need in round 2. Unfortunately, I think.
We'll find out. And that's the thing is there is the whole like move somebody for somebody right away. And we've seen that happen. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But I think that Kyle, at least right now, wants to compete, and you can't have bumps and bruises with a center that you aren't confident in right away, because Trey's going to be starting.
That's true. I saw So Real Snil on Twitter put this out. Really good find. First 2 round picks, round 1, round 2, in the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch era, 3 on D-line, 3 on wide receivers, 2 on offensive line, 1 on quarterback, 1 on linebacker. Linebackers, Reuben Foster. We don't have to talk about that. But it seems like offensive line is up. And if they have a needed center, it could be a second-round pick on a center. Although, maybe they'll just shock us all and take a running back.
In the second round, oh my God, I flipped the table and I just lose it. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Please, no.
Last topic. So Mike McGlinchey had that really strange picture where he looked like he was roughly 225 pounds. Then he heard the blowback. He posted a video where he's working out, and he posted a picture of a scale that said 310, although he wasn't necessarily on the scale in the picture, although that was the implication. Then the Niners have said he's on track. He comes out. He says he's on track. They are really trying to sell us on Mike McGlinchey being himself for the full season this year. Do you buy it?
It's hard for me to buy that he's himself. Do I think Mike McGlinchey is going to play and be in training camp? For sure. He'll be on the field. But what does that look like? And I think that's what people should be worried about at this point. But if, again, Mike McGlinchey could show up to training camp, you could get some preseason reps and you could see, and maybe week 1, yeah, he's same old Mike, like one of the best run blocking tackles in the league, and they're able to move with it. It's hard for me to believe that he's going to be as good as he was in the run game off the bat because of that injury. And and that's not me being negative. I'm just trying to be realistic at this point. Will he be playing? For sure. He's going to be there. Like, he'll be starting, but what does starting look like? What does Mike McGlinchey in 2022 look like? That's the part that I'm going to sell right now, is because I have a hard time believing that he will be the same old Mike that was so good in the run game, that, took a lot of lumps, in pass protection, but they were in big moments. So people kind of magnified that. It wasn't as bad as people believe. But in the same way, you can't have a drop off in any way. The 49ers, they ran the ball the best average at the ends, both sides, left and right.
That's right.
And that was even when Mike McGlinchey was out. That was Tom Compton, who was the number 1 run blocking tackle. You need to have that level of work, because the 49ers want to run the ball, and they definitely are going to want to run the ball with Trey Lance. So is it about him being there? He'll be there. Is it about him being the same old Mike? That's the part that I'm going to sell, because I have a tough time believing that.
Yeah, I'm a little confused what the plan is at right tackle. Like, okay, so they're going to go with McGlinchey, but then the left guard easily could be Colt McKivitz. I mean, he started games for them at guard, and they seem to trust him. So if McKivitz is the starting left guard, and Brunskill's is at right guard, and they have the rookie center, who's the backup right tackle? School? Moore? I don't know. Are they going to draft? They probably got to draft a guard tackle at some point in this draft. Another one, just to
And when they take offensive linemen, it's not just guys who are suited for one role. Like Cole Strange played guard and he took reps at center. And those are the type of guys that they're going to be looking for that same flexibility purpose, in the way of, hey, push comes to shove, we can kick you over to another spot. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. I feel like Daniel Brunskill got put in a bad spot because he played so many positions, and it's so hard. Like, everyone assumes just because a guy played left tackle, you can just flip him over to right tackle or vice versa.
Guys, didn't work.
This is not Pee Wee football, guys. This is not high school football. That is not how things work. You need guys who are going to be. Aaron Banks, for a little while, played right guard. He's a left guard.
Yeah.
Struggled.
Yeah.
Jalen Moore, same thing. Don't tell me that you guys know that those guys are going to ball. You can be optimistic that they will, but don't tell me you know. You don't know, because it may not work out that way, unfortunately. That's just how the league goes.
Yeah, it's the story of Jimmy Ward's career. They drafted him, moved his position 8 times, finally figured out by the time he was 30, like, oh, he's a safety. Like, yeah, you just need to watch his college tape. Jerry says Deebo isn't getting traded, take it to the bank. This will be solved this summer. Deebo is just mad because he didn't get an offer, but money heals all wounds. I tend to agree with that. I
hear you, Jerry, and I'm in the same boat right now at this point. I mean, eventually, cooler heads will prevail.
I think it's just that, like, a lot of this was going on during a dead period where, him removing a picture was by far the biggest news. It wasn't even close. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's kind of what happened. Easy Tino says Deebo in the New York City market is going to be a moneymaker for everyone. Kyle silences everything because I believe that dinner went very bad. I also believe that dinner went very bad.
That dinner went terribly.
Yeah.
Terribly.
Yeah. Luis says just hopped in, but random question. Who could be a surprise trade candidate from the 49ers? Nick Bosa.
Or
Nick Bosa.
No.
I mean, if they think they can't get it done, but I mean, that would be a surprise. Clearly, they're not going to trade Kittle. They extended him. Anyone you can think of?
Mitch Wisnowski, so they can go ahead and draft Matt Araiza, the punt god.
There you go. Hunter says greetings from Germany. Go Niners. Wow. Thanks.
Wonderbar.
Wow. Wonderbar. That Niner guy says they should sign JC Treader, but let's play the rookies and trade Deebo. I hate this. Yeah, they just don't seem like the kind of team that's like about to sign a 31-year-old starter, although they absolutely should be that kind of team because they were just in the NFC Championship game. They want to dial back spending this year. Do you hear John Lynch say that? Why? The cap's going up. You make hella money. Like we're supposed to sympathize with that? What the hell was that?
But what are you talking about, Grant? They're ready to foot the bill for Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'll tell you how I foot the bill is you take it and you kick his ass out of here. That's how you foot the damn bill. What the hell are you talking about?
That's right. I like that. The Romelia Sports Report says, Grant, Jason, you guys seen the Rams draft day movie trailer on the clock? No. Dennis Quaid is Rams on.
I did.
How was it?
It's amazing because that's what LA affords you is Hollywood type things like that. And yeah, I'm not mad. The Rams won the Super Bowl and everything. We talked to Andrew Whitworth yesterday at the Play Football thing. And he said the best game he's ever played in, the most electric game that he ever played in, and he played in the Super Bowl and won, was the NFC title game.
Oh.
And he said that he never felt any type of energy like that. And I looked at him and I was like, you son of a, like, thank you for like ripping off the scab, appreciate you, because he got revenge on the team that he used to play for in the Super Bowl. And that man still told me with a straight face that the NFC title game was the best game he's ever played in. And that was the most electric game he's ever been a part of. I was so hurt.
Oh,
whatever.
Whatever. I'm glad you got to meet him. Walter Payton, Man of the Year. Man of the Year.
Hey, that man is massive. I also want to say drip unmatched Jordan 3s. I was like, Andrew, you're out here killing them right now, man.
Was he, had he lost like 50 pounds already? I always love
He's pretty slim. He's pretty
slim.
I
love that with offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Living your best life. King Alex says if Jimmy was off the books, they could have made multiple short-term deals with vets that could have put them over the top. Their pride is their downfall. Yeah, that's a good way to pretty much end the show. Jed,
I'm sorry, Alex. I'm sorry, Alex. You just don't get rid of guys like that. You don't get rid of guys like that, and you need to foot the bill. Foot it.
Jared says McGlinchey is the 56th ranked tackle in the league. He's below average. Get rid of him. Too late. 5th-year option. One more year.
Got to. Took him in number 9. Could have had Derwin James.
Could have had freaking Colton Miller. Who's Deese? Thanks for watching, everyone. The Niners most likely don't pick to. Oh, Sean says Jason, stop skipping shoulder day. My 9-year-old has bigger delts. All love. That was just mean.
Hey, look. My slimness, because I'm so tall, it reeks of sexiness, and the women can't take it.
So much sexiness. Do you understand?
Right? I'm in Vegas beating women off with a stick out here, bro. So I don't really care about the gym. All those dudes get brolic to go work at T-Mobile and get no women. So I don't care, bro. I don't care.
Rob Martin says 88. What's up, Rob? Yo, Grant, been here in shadows watching Bill Walsh too. If Deebo don't want to be here, I don't want him. Let's re-up with his worth.
What's his worth?
My thing is that the Niners eventually are going to want to not alienate big-time stars from their team. They don't want to be seen as like the Detroit Pistons or the Sacramento Kings of the NFL because they could be that. They're like the what?
The Oakland A's.
Yeah, I mean, every day that goes by, they're looking more and more like a Moneyball team, and it's not good considering they're like the 5th or 6th most lucrative franchise in the league. Like, there's no excuse for this.
Parag, baby.
But my question is, though, how do the Yorks make money outside of their ownership of this team? Do you know? Do they have a thing?
Jersey sales or like
it's just this, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you got the Rams guy. Don't they have like partial stake in Walmart? Am I wrong with that?
Really? I didn't know that.
His wife, I think, was one of the one of the Walmart heiresses. I'm just saying, there's some owners out there that actually have like independent wealth. And it seems to me that the NFL is moving back to like the 80s and 90s where teams with money can actually use it for a change. So Niners, you might want to think about using your money Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll be back later if the Niners do something. See ya. Follow Jason. He's in Vegas.